All right, well, let's begin. Super Tuesday, the biggest day yet in the race for the White House. Republicans and Democrats from Alaska to Georgia casting votes today, and there could not be more at stake. For Republicans, nearly 600 delegates on the line as people head to the polls and caucus in 13 states. Frontrunner Donald Trump, with a rally about to get underway in Columbus, Ohio, has been steamrolling the competition, aiming for a sweep. And his closest competitors, Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz, well, they're trying to slow the Donald's momentum as the candidates make their final pitches to voters.
We are going to win at every single level. We are going to win with health. We are going to win with education. We are going to win at the borders. We're going to win with our military. We're going to win, 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 win.
I don't know if America has 4 more years. Not at the direction we're headed now. And if we lose this election, and we will if Donald Trump is the nominee, then Hillary Clinton will be the next president of the United States.
It's easy to talk about making America great again. You could even print that on a baseball cap. But the critical question is, do you understand the principles and values that made America great in the first place?
Well, in the meantime, Newt Gingrich, former Speaker of the House and presidential candidate, says today could be the last chance for these guys to stop the Trump train.
I do have a sense that Trump's opponents are all gathering at the Alamo and hoping for a last stand. Trump will dominate tomorrow. And then the big test will be on the 15th. And if neither Kasich nor Rubio can carry their home state, then it really is pretty much over. You can't take little bits of delegates and have a floor fight.
So will Trump run the table, Chris Wallace? And if he does it speak to his strength and the GOP establishment's weakness, because they are spending millions of dollars and time and effort attacking him?
Well, in terms of whether he will, one of the great things about today is we don't have to speculate. Every other day we have to, what's going to happen, what's the effect going to be? We'll find out. You know, in about 10, 12 hours, we'll find out whether or not he is going to run the table. There are a couple of them. There are 11 states that we're talking about here. I find it very interesting that Ted Cruz spent all yesterday in Texas. I always say, don't watch what politicians say, watch what they do. For Ted Cruz, the senator from Texas with 11 states at stake, to feel that he has to spend the final day before the campaign in Dallas, Houston, and San Antonio, to me is a statement of weakness, not strength, that he isn't out there trying to win other states. He's still defending his home state because he knows if he loses Texas, he's dead. Now, Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio is 0 for 4 going into this today. He could be 0 for 15 if he doesn't win a state today. Now, there are a couple that he's got a shot at, Minnesota, Virginia. But if he goes 0 for 15, and then you say, well, okay, but he's got Florida. I mean, he could go to March 15th and not have won a single state.
That reminds me of Rudy Giuliani. I mean, play the speculation game just for a little bit, Chris. If that happens, how does someone like Rubio continue? Would Trump be, say, inevitable at that point?
Well, those are good questions. Now, I'm not feeling like such a lucky guy right now.
High praise indeed coming from the master.
Yes, that's right. I was going to say you're pulling a Chris Wallace. I would say that if what I talk about happens, let's say Trump wins everything except Texas and does pretty well in Texas, I don't see how you stop him. I really don't.
Interesting. And, of course, Ted Cruz knows this. It's also, what, more than 150 delegates that you would scoop up in Texas, too. I mean, that is a huge
but it's not winner take all.
No.
So it's allocated proportionally.
But to be able to take that state, though, it at least puts him in the ball game, Cruz. Maybe. But if what you're talking about, that Trump runs away with it, runs the table. What does that say about the Republican Party in general? I mean, when you ask, how does a Rubio stay in? If he stays in, if others stay in, we get to the convention and they do some sort of a deal behind scenes or however it might work out to try to push Trump out. You heard reportedly what Senate Mitch McConnell has been saying, you know, drawing a line in the sand for those who are anti-Trump, reportedly, according to the Times. What does that say about the party's ability to go forward, though, if they don't like the candidate that the people have chosen? Well, they're going to tick off a lot of people, Chris.
Well, or what could happen is, and Mitch McConnell has suggested this, that if Trump doesn't come to the center and doesn't start accommodating, and I think that's an open question, whether he would change after he won the nomination and become a more centrist candidate, more, quote, presidential. If he doesn't, Mitch McConnell has said, we'll run against him.
Right.
You know, we'll say, everybody, look, save yourselves if you're a Senate candidate and in a swing state that doesn't like Trump. If you're a House candidate who this is a problem, you run for yourself. And if you have to run a negative ad against the Republican nominee, go ahead and do it.
Doesn't that kill the party?
I don't know if it kills it. It doesn't help it. But look, Harris, this reflects what's going on in the Republican Party. There is a huge split. This is what Trump is all about, between the grassroots and D.C.
Where does that leave the people? That's what I wonder.
But so talking about the party itself, because I remember you very notably, everything you say is notable, Chris Wallace, but following the last GOP debate, you said that was an embarrassment for the party.
Right.
Referencing the infighting that we saw on the stage that night. We've only seen the rhetoric and the attacks step up from there. You have said the GOP candidates are not acting presidential. In fact, I remember you asking Donald Trump, do you think it's time that you start acting presidential? And instead of defending himself, his response was, yeah, probably I do. Did anything change? Has he changed
No,
at
it's
all?
gotten worse. And it's going to be very interesting to see. This is one of the things I'm going to be looking most closely at. Rubio obviously made a strategic decision. I got to get into the game with Trump. I've got to, you know, out-insult the master. We'll find out today whether did that help him or did it hurt him. The David Duke flap. I mean, all the variety of things that have gone on, all the stuff about Trump's background and illegal immigrants and all of that he has hired in the past. We'll find out. If he runs the table, you have to wonder what's left in the playbook for these guys.
Exactly. And if he does run the table, Ebony, and you're a Democrat and you're looking at Donald Trump, are you saying then, gosh, nothing sticks to this man? I mean, if the Republican Party opened the dogs of hell, they're saying, on Donald Trump, and he survived, does it worry Democrats?
They have to be incredibly worried, Andrea, simply because it does seem like you can throw the entire kitchen sink at this candidate and nothing seems to stick, because what is working so brilliantly in his favor is, once again, this fact that he is selling an argument that he can be a winner in his own life and he can make America a winner again. And really, I don't see Bernie Sanders nor Hillary Clinton being able to make a compelling argument around that in the way that Donald Trump has certainly been able to resonate. And Rubio is interesting to me. And Chris Wallace, you hit the nail on the head. He's kind of made a pivot. You know, he's doing a different tone now. He's seeing that the policy stuff wasn't working, so now he's going to get in this thing any way he can. Okay, fine. But he's got to do more than be a protest candidate. And I really see so much of what he's talking about now being, I am the only thing that can save this party from a Trump candidacy, but I don't know that that's going to be enough to get him even a win.
You know what's interesting about that? He isn't the only one, because they had to team up with him. Against him, rather. I mean, I don't know if they did any sort of a deal. It just kind of worked out that way. But Cruz and Rubio were going at it pretty hard at Trump. I don't know that it would have worked with just one of them. I mean, they had him encircled.
I would just come back on one thing you said, Ebony, and that is, it hasn't worked, these kinds of attacks, in the Republican primaries. But you get to a general election in November, there's a whole lot of other people that aren't voting. And things that didn't work in the Republican primaries might work. I mean, there was a recent poll in the Washington Post, 80% of Hispanics said they had an unfavorable opinion. Now, a lot of those are not voting in Republican primaries, but they will vote in the general. And so a lot of the attacks that aren't working against Trump in February, or now March, might begin to work in November.
But I do wonder, unfavorable opinion, I'm certain, but again, I wonder when people are in that booth, even in the general, and they have to decide between someone that they don't like very much, but they think maybe, just maybe, might be in their best fiscal interest. Or I'm just wondering when they start thinking about, you know, the balancing test, if you will, if maybe he still at least becomes an option.
Ebony, do you believe Donald Trump is a racist with all of this talk about the KK play?
I don't, because I understand what an actual racist is. I think that that is a term that many of us in America don't really understand the nature of, and we apply it in a too broad, incorrect way. So, no, he's not a racist. Now, has he made statements that kind of target the xenophobic nature of some of this country? Of course. But I don't believe he himself is a racist. That is my take on that.
Well, we're going to be watching the results come in tonight. Certainly, if he runs the table, I do think, Chris, it will speak to a Republican Party that has just become feckless and ineffective. But we'll see. We're going to be watching you tonight.